Yo gamers, what is good? Today I'm going to be giving my predictions for the upcoming Mario Kart World Nintendo Direct, and I am super excited for this, but to say that there's a lot riding on this Direct would be a bit of an understatement. While I personally feel what we've seen of the game so far justifies the high $80 price tag, I know that not everybody feels that way, so I think this will be Nintendo's last time in a very publicly watched setting to sell us all on the game, as well as maybe the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. And on that note, I believe this Direct will kick off with what I'm calling the Nintendo Switch 2 Nutritional Facts Remarket Intro. This will be a 30 to 60 second video where Nintendo attempts to regain control of the Switch 2 narrative and give us all of the important information and details very quickly, very concisely, no confusion possible. They're going to remind us of the new features, the new tech, remind us of the release date, and publicly state the price in the video, the two SKUs being $449.99 or $499.99, at least in the US. And they'll close it off with actually a bit of a bombshell saying that pre-orders will be available worldwide following today's presentation, including from the official Nintendo website. So basically anybody that registered interest will start getting those emails and offers to pre-order, and for those of us living in the United States or Canada, we will also be able to pre-order the system starting that day. Okay, shifting gears into Mario Kart, we're going to start off with a brief refresher segment. Nintendo likes to do this in their game themed directs, where they'll remind us this is the first new console Mario Kart in over 11 years. There are 24 players, the most in the series history, and then get into the characters. Now I, like every other Nintendo YouTuber, made a character predictions video for this game a few months ago, and to say that Nintendo blew our expectations out of the water would be a bit of an understatement. They're adding Cataquacs, they're adding Snowman, they're adding Cow, they're adding MF Fishbones. I mean, everybody is in this game, and I love that it's seemingly sticking to just the Mario IP. This will not only bolster the Mario series going forward, but it will also make Super Smash Bros. Feel more special as the only crossover game. So again, I'm very happy with this direction. But I do want to give my updated character wish list / predictions because, well, things have changed a bit since then, even though actually a good amount of my predictions did come true, and I'm happy about that. So starting off, I think the Koopalings are 50-50 whether they make it. They are a little bit oversaturated during the Wii U and 3DS era, but it seems like, during the Switch generation, Nintendo kind of held off on throwing them into every spin-off game, and they might have actually put them back into the vault. Whether or not they make a return for this game has yet to be seen, although we have seen some advertisements in-game showing off the Koopalings, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm personally 50-50, I really don't care. Next after that, we have the Donkey Kong characters. I mean, at this point, Funky Kong is more synonymous with the Mario Kart brand than the Donkey Kong games, and given that Nintendo is making a huge push with that series, especially with the theme park opening and the massive new Donkey Kong Bonanza title, they're definitely going to want to give this some recognition. Then, as for some other random Mario characters, Poochie and Ninja I think are both still pretty safe bets. Puccio's in tour, and Ninja has been seeing somewhat of a resurgence, especially in the spin-off games during the Switch generation. But now I want to focus on the 3D Mario games, because I actually feel like there's still a lot of characters they could pull from those titles. In Super Mario 64, we have King Babam, who was in Mario Kart Tour, and I do feel like has been showing up a little bit more lately, so I'm going to say he's pretty likely. And then I also think that the rabbits from the Mario 64 games, they're pretty iconic. I think they have a decent shot at getting in as well. On the note of Mario 64, I would love if there's an alternate costume you could give to the penguin that makes him have the chunky, blocky N64 model. I would love that, and I hope that happens. Moving on to Sunshine, we got Petey Piranha, who I would say is another pretty safe lock-in. He's appeared in the most recent Mario Kart games, and if they're letting the freaking Cataquac in, I mean, bro, come on. Petey Piranha's got to take a little bit of precedence over the Cataquac, so throw that bad boy in there. I also think that the Nokis, under that same logic of, Cataquac made it, I gotta think the Nokis would have a good shot at getting in there. Moving on to the Galaxy games, we have the Lumas, who I would say are almost a guarantee to be in the game, especially considering we've seen them as spectators, and it seems like basically any of the crowd NPCs will be playable, so that's pretty cool. I'm also going to give us Honey Queen Bee, who did the weird Mario character thing before it was cool with Mario Kart 7. I think it's time to bring her back, so that'd be dope. And then finally, the Whittles from Mario Galaxy 2. These are probably the fan favorite NPCs from that game, and maybe even just the Mario Galaxy games as a whole outside of the Lumas, so would love to see that happen. Alright, moving along to the 3D games, we actually have a ton of representation of 3D land in the enemy department, but I think for 3D World, I would just add the Sprixies in there. I don't know, they had fun designs, so why not? Just throw them in there. Okay, but by far the game that I want to see the most new characters from, and it's a game that has sadly not exported many of its characters, despite having so many original and lovable ones, to other titles, is Super Mario Odyssey. I freaking adore this game. There are so many fantastic NPCs and enemies to choose from, so I'm going crazy. I had a ton of options I want them to choose from and put them in the game. Of course, like I said in my last video, you gotta put the new Donkers in, that'd be hilarious. But in terms of other NPCs, I would like to see the Tostarena NPCs, like the little skull guys, and the Chivarian NPCs, those like kind of big white bouncy bear things. I want both of those thrown in there. And then for enemies, I got 4 choices: the Moai statues in the desert, the Pokios in Bowser's Kingdom, the Uproots from the Wooded Kingdom, and then I can't remember their exact name, but the little magma tomato guys in the Cooking Kingdom. So come on, man, you gotta go crazy with the Odyssey representation. But with that said, they're going to close out the character segment, and they'll say like there's still even more characters in the game for you to discover, and a little bit touch on the costumes and how, you know, a lot of the characters will have different outfits. And then they'll kind of end it, and this is going to be a theme that we'll see repeated throughout the presentation. There will be a large numerical visual on screen. Basically takes up the whole screen, and it will, you know, count how many of whatever they're talking about is in the game. And they'll be like, so when you take it all together, this is the largest roster of characters in the Mario Kart game yet, with 70 plus characters, so they'll have like a big 70 plus on the screen, and when considering the costumes, over 240. So this is going to be Nintendo's sort of smart marketing psychology to drill into our minds just how much content there is in this game. When we see that big 70 on screen, we're going to be like, oh frick, 70 plus characters, that's a ton. And then when they say 240 plus costumes, dang, those are some pretty big numbers. Alright, I guess 80 seems pretty small in comparison to that. So they're going to repeat this for a few other things going throughout the Direct. After this, they're going to do a quick segment on Grand Prix, which will just kind of remind us how it works in this game. But they will make note of the fact that you can play in the traditional 3-lap loops by turning the intermission switch off. And they're going to kind of tease that after you have completed every cup, you will unlock the World Tour Cup, which basically is a monster of a challenge that has you race on every course in the game, so buckle up for this multi-hour road trip. Alrighty, then after this we're going to go into the courses, and they'll kind of, you know, refresh us on the ones we've seen so far. They'll do a little montage of all of the courses available in the Treehouse demo, as well as the build that is being offered at the Nintendo Switch 2 Play experience. And then after that, they're going to do something that is probably going to be like the WTF moment of the show. They're going to have on screen again numeric visuals saying, you know, there's 32 courses in the game plus all of the intermissions, so this is the most road there's ever been to race on in a Mario Kart game yet. Then after that, the image of the world map will like slowly zoom out, and then that 32 number will gradually tick up faster until it reaches 64. That's right, there's even more courses across the world, and a B-roll of a lot of these new courses we haven't even seen yet, basically doubling the amount. I saw this theory on Japanese X where someone looked at the logo in the game, and underneath that in the artwork, it seemed like there were more continents. And even though after comparing it with the in-game map, it looks like maybe it's just the same image but blown up a bit so they could include more detail and also include all of the courses in that map, I do think Nintendo has more here. Maybe it's not going to be as high as 64, maybe I'm getting a little crazy with that, but I do think that there's going to be more than just what we've seen here. It would be a little weird to me if they showed us every single track in the game before the game was released. And when you see that it's 23 gigabytes, which is the biggest for any Nintendo game yet, I know it's in 4K and it looks nicer, so that's going to add up more space, but I just feel like in general, you know, there's going to be like, I think there's going to be more than that. We're going to be like, holy frick, and that'll be another moment that everyone just loses their mind over. And again, kind of signaling to you, look, 64 courses in the game, or you know, even if they do like just 40 or 50 something, like that's still gonna be, that's a ton. So then after that, they're gonna do a quick knockout tour segment. They'll just kind of remind people how it plays. Then they'll do a battles mode, or a battle modes and item montage, where they kind of talk about some of the new items in the game. There's going to be like over 40 items, which is going to be the most of any Mario Kart game. Then they'll kind of talk about the battle mode. So there's going to be the classic balloon battle mode, there's going to be coin battle mode, or this brand new kind of capture the flag type mode called Shine Snag, which is sort of reworking of the Shine Thief mode that's already in there. But essentially how this one will work now is each team has, or maybe there could be 4 teams as well, will all have their own shine, and you have to go in and steal it from the other team and make it back to your base. So it'll be very fun. And they'll talk about how you can either play battle mode on the main continent where you do the normal Grand Prix and knockout tour, or you can be transported to the battle facility, which has 6 unique courses built exclusively for battle mode. So yeah, they're kind of giving you the best of both worlds with how they did Mario Kart 8's battle mode and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Okay, next up they're going to talk about online play and game share. So in addition to local play, it's super easy to hop into an online lobby to play with others in Grand Prix, Knockout Tour, or battle modes. And like previous entries, you can create or join in your own user-made tournament. So yeah, that feature will return. And they'll also talk about how Mario Kart World will be a title to support the new hardware feature, Game Share. That being said, it's not going to be like you can just play any course or, you know, any character or anything with each other. It's going to say there's a select offering of courses that players, even without the copy, can experience and race together with somebody who does own the copy of the game. Also, people who don't own the game will once again be banished to only using the color Shy Guys, so that'll be kind of funny, just like the DS game. Alrighty, then after this we're going to go through a variety segment where they're like, there's still so many fun features and modes you can do in Mario Kart World. Let's just take some quick glances at all these. So there'll be photo mode, there'll be cart decoration where you can put stickers on your cars, and there'll be some very light recoloring options to kind of edit things. And then after that, they're going to show off the music player mode and talk about how there are over 300 tracks in the game. Again, there's another numerical visual they can put on screen, and there's many remixes of various Mario series songs that can play during either free roam or while driving on the intermission roads. Then they'll close this variety segment out by talking about Mario Kart TV, that's back. You can save up to 20 replays, edit the camera angles and a few other things, and then directly send these to the Nintendo Switch app so that you can post it on social media. So after this, we're going to get a soft outro, and they'll just kind of recap and again do all those big numerical visuals on screen. There's 70 plus characters, 240 plus costume options, 64 courses, and hundreds of intermission roads, 40 plus items, 150 plus carts, 300 plus cart stickers, the biggest Grand Prix offering, an exciting new Knockout Tour mode, intense battle mode options, and many other modes. And they'll say like, this is by far the most ambitious Mario Kart title yet, and one of the biggest games Nintendo has ever made. And so that's really going to be kind of like, you know, all right guys, that now you see why it's $80. And they'll also say that Mario Kart World will receive post-launch updates and support. We'll provide more details on this later, so please stay tuned. They're not going to show any of it or really go into details yet, and they're going to very noticeably not say free updates. And I know people are, you know, they're going to catch on to that, and yes, it will end up being that there's paid DLC to this game, which that'll be a whole nother controversy for another day. But for now, we just say, okay, yeah, this game, this definitely is going to be worth 80. But here's the thing. Right after they finish up this recap segment and they say, you know, releases on June 5th, wait a little bit longer, we have one last thing to share. This is where we're going to get, it's not going to have any commentary, it's just going to be like a maybe 2-minute trailer, like kind of a teasery or a very ambiguous trailer that shows off free roam and story/challenge mode. So basically there's going to be achievements, there's going to be unlockables and challenges like there were in Mario Kart DS, albeit presented in a more side quest, open worldy way. Sort of like, and there's also going to be some sort of expansion project that we've seen in the game so far called like the Rainbow Management Project or something like that. And it looks like you'll somehow have to use money or the quest completion to kind of add more courses throughout the game. Maybe that's how you unlock some of the other ones, those 60 to get up to that 64, and eventually you build the pathway to Rainbow Road in this story mode. So yeah, there's gonna be like that whole thing. It's gonna look epic, and then it'll just kind of close after that. But yeah, those are my personal predictions for the Mario Kart World Direct airing in just a couple of days. I'd love to hear what some of your guys' thoughts are in the comments below. So until then, I will catch you guys later. Peace.